Today, I want to talk about The Incredibles, mainly The Incredibles 2. Right off the bat, I'm going to say that I loved the first Incredibles, and I'm not ashamed to admit that being 26 years old. I've watched it many, many times. I loved it since I was a child, and I believe that it holds up really, really well, and there is so much that the film gets right. I know that there is a cult following for The Incredibles, and the first film is loved by so many. However, I would like to talk about The Incredibles 2. I do not think that the second Incredibles film was actually any good, and would like to share my thoughts on why. But first, let's go over some of the positives. Elastigirl. This is obviously an Elastigirl centered movie. Incredible 2 emphasizes how good she is at being a super, which is obvious in the first movie but gives her time to shine. She is shown to be efficient in detective work and solving crimes such as finding the location of Screenslaver and figuring out that the captured Screenslaver was a stand in for the real Screenslaver. She was also able to save a train full of people without major injury or damage, unlike Mr. Incredible, which I think was purposely done to showcase the difference in the pair's capabilities. For me, how the film decided to showcase her abilities is simply fantastic, pun intended. She is a movement agility master. We see her use her abilities in very useful and creative ways throughout the entire movie. Gliding through the air, resembling Batman gliding, her slingshot ability that she uses to propel herself forward in the air, gaining momentum, which reminded me of Spider Man 2's web slingshot ability, or even in a basic manner to just swing around and propel herself, almost Spider Man esque, elongated steps to get around quicker and across greater distances, flattening/shrinking herself down to fit in narrow spaces to avoid being crushed or hurt. It can't be understated how powerful and how versatile Elastigirl and her powers truly are. When her bike is introduced, she uses her own body and the bike as one, producing momentum to get to places higher and quicker and in ways she just wouldn't be able to do without it. The bike didn't feel like a novelty item. It felt like it was a natural part of her character and made sense for her to use it and have it. The bike is great, what else can I say? Now let's focus on her combat abilities. Yet again, she shines in combat, especially in a 1v1 scenario. Her agility makes her a lethal combatant. When she is mind controlled by Screenslaver and fights Bob, she attacks him like a snake, attacking multiple times, trying to suffocate him and wrap him up, limiting his mobility. Considering that he is Mr. Incredible, this would be no easy feat, but she is very mobile and hard to pin down, even for someone of his caliber. When she is caught, instead of fighting and struggling, she decides to use emotional manipulation to trick Mr. Incredible rather than continue to draw out the fight, further showcasing her tactical IQ. When Jack broke her free of mind control, she was able to avoid Frozone's attacks, which if landed would largely incapacitate her as the cold is her weakness, redirecting attacks to freeze Mr. Incredible, freeing them both, the children. Violet's progression in this movie can't be understated. The strength of her force fields have improved so much, even though they were very strong before, being able to withstand the force of an Omnidroid slamming down on top of it. She is able to use her shields to smash falling rocks, trap a super in a bubble, causing him to electrocute himself, and protect against lava spit from another super as well. This just shows how far she has come in understanding her abilities and how to use them. Jack's powers were a show stealer for me. There is no point in saying all the abilities here as we would be here all day. He has got to be the most powerful super ever if he retains a handful of those abilities when he is older, which he most likely will. I thought it was very, very interesting how he is able to transform his body into jelly, fire, metal, and phase through objects. If they decide to limit his abilities to a few when he grows up, I think they will choose the polymorphing part of his powers, as this would allow for some seriously powerful and wacky abilities. I think they should make him like other characters who could be considered polymorphs or morphers, such as Metamorpho, Plastic Man, Clayface, Kevin 11 from Ben 10, something of that nature. He has already been shown to have above average strength for his age and maybe even have some level of invulnerability shown in his fight with the raccoon, where he slams deck chairs out of the way and isn't hurt by their altercation.
And there's not a scratch on you!
Also, as a side note, I found the scenes he was in to be really funny and humorous at times. He is definitely one of my favourite characters. Let's get the obligatory Frozone mention out of the way. There's not a lot I can say that hasn't already been said about Frozone. He is just amazing. Every scene he is in, he steals it completely. Let's just talk about his fight against the new supers briefly. His fight against them shows how strong he really is, because he was focusing mainly on just getting the kids to safety. He managed to keep the new heroes at bay and accomplished in helping the kids to escape. This really does show his pedigree. Loopholes. Mr. Incredible was paid by Syndrome in the first movie to fight the Omnidroids. We see him enjoying his life, purchasing new clothes, buying new cars, enjoying his life seemingly without a care in the world. He doesn't tell his wife about the change in his job, so it's safe to assume that the money for the bills was being paid. I get that the payment he was expecting for the final Omnidroid he was never meant to see anyway, but before that he was paid triple his yearly salary. This should have seen them through to the second movie. However, they are shown to be struggling and without any money in the second movie, even though they take place immediately after one another. They mention seizing Syndrome's assets in the first movie. I don't believe this to be the reason the Incredibles have no money, as what Mr. Incredible did wouldn't be illegal, more like being hired by a private company to carry out a job. On a privately owned island, taking out privately owned equipment. So, if the government did take the money that Mr. Incredible had made during this time, I would think that to be wrong. The government is extremely hostile towards the super community even after the events of the first movie play out. They literally save the day from the Omnidroid, yet they are still treated extremely aggressively by the police because of their failure to capture the Underminer. Even though they saved the lives and stopped the destruction of public property, I think this is extremely stupid and not realistic, and was put in the movie to further the plot, as public opinion was the thing they were trying to change. Just wasn't realistic as to how the people would really react given the circumstances. Mr. Incredible. The film goes out of its way to destroy his character. Even in his appearance from the get-go, he seems knackered. His character goes backwards from the progress he makes in the first film. At the end of the first movie, you feel like Bob really learns to trust his family and wife, and that they were a team. He was ego-driven and struggling to deal with life being mundane. Well, after nearly losing his entire family and being grief-stricken, you really get the sense that he was different and now sees what is really important in life. Now, in Incredibles 2, he cannot deal with not being in the limelight and constantly neglects to tell his wife about the progress of their son, lying to her about how he is getting on. The movie attempts to destroy Mr. Incredible by making him Mr. Incapable instead. He cannot look after his own kids without the help of others like Lucius and Edna. His kids constantly undermine him. He cannot even go toe-to-toe with the other super called Brit without the help of Elastigirl. His entire thing is being strong, and he cannot even be the strongest in this movie. This should tell you everything you need to know about this film. The new supers. First off, who okayed the design of these costumes? They look goofy as hell. Their appearance and voices are just as goofy. They're like watered down soups. Their abilities are also super weak, apart from Void. The electric guy can be hurt by his own ability, which is stupid. Another guy can spit lava sick. Like, okay, that could be cool, but then you make him old and look like Mermaid Man from SpongeBob. Then you've got a guy who is just a big bird. Okay. I guess Crusher could be cool, but he just seems stupid as muck. Void is the only noticeable good one, and with some more training, potentially could be something. They were all kept at bay by a Frozone who was focusing on not hurting them and getting the kids to safety. They should be able to walk Frozone down, no problem as a group. I think if Frozone wanted to, he could have beaten them all if he wasn't just focused on getting the kids to safety. They need more training, and some of them just need to get gone. I don't know who allowed the characters to look like this, but it was just a bad decision all round. Screenslaver. What a weak excuse for a villain. You can see the twist angle from a mile away. Throughout the entire movie, the stakes felt pretty low when it came to Screenslaver, right up until the boat scenes. Her reasonings don't quite make sense as to why she is a villain. She should be focusing more on hating her father and the criminals that took his life rather than the heroes that would have tried to save him in that moment if they were actually allowed to. How she executed her plan was crap as well. She could have sabotaged a bunch of supers by controlling them and making them commit a bunch of crimes whilst being under her influence. Would have been an easier feat and more impactful to paint the supers out to be villains rather than heroes to be worshipped. She has the means to do this, but chose a stupid way of doing things. Just overall, a bad villain for a bad movie. The film had some good parts that I really liked, but in my opinion it failed to live up to the glory of the first film, and the vibes were completely different. Some of the choices made in Incredibles 2 didn't make a lot of sense to me, and watching the film made me sad seeing what they had done to one of my favourite films. If you would like me to talk about any other films or TV shows, or any matchups versus ideas like Batman versus Captain America, for example, let me know down in the comments, and let me know what you think about what I've talked about today. Please leave a comment and subscribe. Cheers.